Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about an interesting realization I had about the Joker trailer, or the reaction thereof to it. And this is something that I've been noticing a lot recently with films and the villains in them. And I do blame Marvel to some degree, especially when it comes to superhero villains. Some people will disagree and no, the Marvel villains are great. But for the most part, let's face it, Marvel villains are not good, except for like Thanos and maybe one or two others. I will admit that there's some that have been pretty good. But for the most part, I feel that Marvel villains are very generic. They're just the face of evil. And, they're just doing greedy, evil things because they're greedy, evil people. They don't really have a lot of motivation. I'd even argue that characters like Vulture, that people are like, oh yeah, he was a really good villain because you felt for him, they're very one dimensional. There's not a lot of depth to those characters. And with the Joker trailer, one of the main reactions I got when people saw it was, ew, I don't want a movie that's so dark, and why would we want to explore such a terrible character? And when Glass came out earlier this year, which I actually enjoyed a lot of the negative reviews were due to the fact that you felt a lot of sympathy for Samuel L. Jackson's character, despite the fact that he'd killed so many people. And same with the Horde, James McAvoy's character. And seeing Glass, that was one of the main things I actually appreciated about the film was the amount of character development for both of these characters, because you hate them a lot of the time, but then at the same time you feel a lot of sympathy for them. And there's a ton of really great character beats and moments in that film. And I feel the same way about the Joker trailer. It looks interesting, and most people don't realize that they've done stuff like this in the past. With the Killing Joke, for example, there's a whole backstory that makes you feel sympathy for the character, while in the modern day story, he paralyzes Barbara Gordon, kidnaps Commissioner Gordon, and basically drives him to the brink of insanity. Tries to kill Batman. He's doing all this terrible stuff in modern day, and yet you go to flashbacks where he's becoming the Joker, or the story he's trying to tell the audience of how he became the Joker, and you do feel sorry for him. You realize that he must have gone through something just as traumatic as Batman did. And I think that that's what should be the most prevalent thing about this film, is that we're seeing a tragedy. He says it in the trailer, I thought my life was a tragedy, now I realize it's a comedy. I think it's going to be this really interesting character study. But what frustrates me, I guess, is that why can't we have a really interesting character study about a dark character? I understand I wouldn't want a Joker solo movie where it was like Jared Leto's Joker, or even like The Dark Knight, for example. I think that movie was perfect because Heath Ledger didn't get tons of screen time. You saw how crazy he was, and he had a lot of depth to him and said a lot of great things. But at the same time, it wasn't about him. Now, the route that the Joaquin Phoenix film is taking, I think, is very interesting, because it's not showing the Joker at the height of his criminal career where he's just going around and like massacring everybody. Not to say that that won't happen in the film, at least not at the beginning, or sorry, at near the end. But at the beginning, we're seeing just this terrible sad story about this person who just keeps getting beat on. And we see a character study of his reaction and how he snaps. And I think that's going to be really interesting. So again, I do blame Marvel to some degree for making these very one-dimensional, like, oh, I'm an evil villain, stereotypes, because now I'm seeing all these critics and all these audience members of like, oh, it's too dark, I don't want to watch it. And I think that defeats the entire purpose of a movie. I saw one comment that said something along the lines of, the reason Marvel works is because they're just entertaining and I don't have to think about it. And it's sad to me as someone who wants to be a filmmaker. If that's really your mindset, you wouldn't like any of the screenplays I've written, because like, while I see why people enjoy the Marvel films, I've gotten very tired of them. Personally, because I don't feel like there's much depth. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people saying that that's why they like them, that they don't have to think about it too much, and that they don't have to feel very much sympathy for, these villains. And that's not to say that that's the case with everybody at all. I like, there's obviously exceptions, and I'm not even saying that that's the majority of the crowd thought for the Joker film. I'm just saying that I've seen a large group of people with this very odd mindset about it, and it's kind of interesting. I think a lot of them may be just finding reasons to hate on the DCEU. But I find it interesting. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Joker trailer. And again, I'm not trying to say that if you have issues with the trailer or aren't really into that kind of movie, that you're like a Marvel shill or anything. That's not what I'm trying to imply. I'm just saying that I feel like people have really narrowed their mindset of what a film can be, and it's become very formulaic. But again, let me know in the comments below what you think. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.